And that is launched out to deep left field. Big fly for Mike Trout, 1-0 Halos. Ground ball to second base, Rendipo falls down, picks it up, fires the first. The Angels have no hit. The Seattle Mariners. That is drilled out to left field. The Angels are going to have a 1-0 lead. Anthony Rendon with a big fly, his third.
Hey guys, I'm Alex Curry.
This is Joe Adell here with the Los Angeles Angels. Brendan Marsh.
This is Chris Rodriguez.
And you're listening to the All Angels Podcast.
And welcome to another edition of the All Angels Podcast. I am doing it right after the Sunday night game. I am super hyped. My adrenaline's pumping. If you don't know what happened because you're watching this at another time or you're listening to it maybe tomorrow on Monday, we'll get to the Sunday night game. All these games have been really, really competitive except for the Friday night game, unfortunately, the one I went to. But the ones that the Angels have won, they have won in numerous ways and has been, as a fan, unbelievably exciting. So like I said, we will get to Sunday night's game in a little bit, but we're going to work our way down through this first opening weekend. And obviously opening day, a huge day for baseball fans in general. We're finally home. Angels are finally home for our opening day and for the first time, and it seems like forever, against a really good pitcher and Lucas Giolito. But Dylan Bundy took the mound that game, and, it was definitely going to be a pitching duel. We always thought it was going to be like that. The White Sox get up early in the second, but then Justin Upton comes here and ties it.
A lot of these chances. This one lined into center field. Upton down for a base hit. Trout hustling on around to the plate. We're tied.
So obviously the game's tied up there. We mentioned this before. I think Upton's going to be a really, really key part of this team, and we've mentioned it even in spring training, and he had a really good weekend. Again, we're going to get to all the highlights throughout the weekend through this podcast. So they are tied. Upton ties it in the fourth. In the fifth, Adam Eaton hits a 2-run home run which puts up the Sox 3-1 off of Dylan Bundy. Dylan Bundy did not do bad. Dylan Bundy went 6 innings, gave up 3 runs, struck out 6, 88 pitches was his pitch count when he got taken out. Now, I think that's more of a product of it being his first start in the first game. You don't want to put someone like that out there, 90-something, 100-something pitches. I think the 88 pitch count was really, really good. Again, 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 6 strikeouts. Lucas Giolito also did really, really well. 5 1/3, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 8 strikeouts, and his pitch count was also 87. So it turned into a bullpen game fairly quickly. And if you have seen the moves that Chicago has made this year, you know that they have a really good bullpen in the back end. And obviously the Angels are kind of, a lot of uncertainty in those bullpen, a lot of good names, a lot of guys you think will do well, but just not too sure yet. So now moving into the next couple innings, Matt Stassi comes up, and if you had him to hit the first home runs of the Angel season, you definitely won your pool.
Stassi is a catcher.
High fly, ball center field. Robert goes back to the wall. Gone!
And that's the power for Max Stassi entertaining us with a home run.
So again, Max Stassi with the first home run of the Angels season. A lot of people probably thought it was going to be Trout. A lot of people probably thought it was going to be Rendon. A lot of people thought it was going to be Ohtani. But for Stassi to come out here when a lot of people out there didn't think he would make the opening day roster because of his hip surgery, for him to come out on that first day and tie it, really, really, lit that place on fire. And if you watched our first the pregame before the opening day at Halo Haven, we were just jumping up and down in Halo Haven, jumping up and out of our seats. Was a really cool feeling to see them work their way back to a tie like that. So now fast forward to the 8th. After Rendon strikes out, Upton walks, Albert comes up with the bases loaded, and in this situation, you're just hoping for a productive out at some point or something to. I mean, it's Albert. So a lot of people were probably thinking at this time, oh no, double play. So that would have been the worst case scenario, but this is what happened.
Albert Pujols bouncing ball, hugs the line, fielding, firing, on across. Albert Pujols puts his team on top.
And so you saw Ohtani scored the go-ahead run there. So again, Albert coming up, bases loaded, hits the ball not great, but just slow enough to where they couldn't turn two, and the only play they could do is at first. So again, like I said, Angels go up 3-4. Ninth inning comes around, and Irel Iglesias comes in again, one of those new guys that has been brought in by the Angels, and he is for the most part the closer, and for the first time in a real game we see him in action, and he looks absolutely awesome, devastating, just able to get these guys out, and with his stuff was really, really nasty. And this is how the final out of the first game of the Angel season
The
went.
last chance.
High fly ball, well struck right field. Dexter Fowler says, "I've got it." The Angels are 1-0 to open up the 2021 season.
And exactly, there it is. The Angels win 3-4. Again, you heard the Angels win on opening day, which was like the first opening day win since I believe like 2000 it had to be like almost 10 years, maybe 8 years since they won on opening day. So for that to happen was really, really great. And again, it's a way to start out the season. Not only you get a opening day home opener on opening day, but also you bring it in with a victory. So that was a great game. Again, the team battled back, being down by 1 run, and against a really good bullpen, being able to produce runs any way they can. The bullpen was great. Sliger, Myers, and Iglesias all pitched 1 inning, and obviously they didn't give up any runs. So that's the kind of production the Angels are going to need going forward into the season from that back end of the bullpen. So kind of like what I mentioned earlier, all these games are super competitive except for this game, the Friday night game. Andrew Heaney took the mound against Dallas Keuchel, and Andrew Heaney, we talked about him a little bit on opening day. We're really hoping for big things from Andrew, not only for the Angels, but through the Tyler Skaggs Foundation. He didn't have his best stuff, which was weird, though, because if you guys watch the game, the first 2 innings, it was 3 up, 3 down. Seemed like he whatever he was working on or had to fix, he seemed like he did it, but then could not get out of the 3rd inning, or got through the 3rd inning, got into the 4th, and then could not get a single out in the 4th inning. So that was kind of disappointing for Andrew Heaney after such a great start for that game. And it just was unfortunate that he didn't go that long. He gave up 5 hits, 7 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and it was just they were up early. They were up early in the 1st, then they were down 7-1 after the Sox bat in the 4th. One of the really, really good things about this game, though, to take away from it, was the debut of Chris Rodriguez. And obviously, if you listen to this podcast, honestly, since I've jumped on for the past 3 or 4 years, you have seen Chris's journey, if you will. We've had him on about 5 times, all the way dating back to his time in single A, dealing with the first injury, then dealing with his surgery, and then talking to him before this spring training. We've talked to him quite a bit throughout his journey. So to see him there, and for me to be there to see his debut, was awesome. Again, he did unbelievable. All the stuff you saw in spring training as far as the movement on his pitches and the velocity on his pitches, it was there. And the moment for him did not seem too big. He never pitched above high A. He hasn't pitched more than I think the number was like 9 2/3 of professional innings. And that to me is absolutely crazy, because he came in and he commanded the mound. He went 2 innings, gave up 2 hits, 3 strikeouts. But again, for a debut, he did absolutely great. And I think that's something that the Angel fans took away from this game. And granted, it was not what they wanted as far as the win, but they did take something out of it. And again, I think that was Chris Rodriguez making his major league debut at Angel Stadium in this game. Now it's going to be interesting to see how they use him, because Madden did say that this kind of opens a whole nother Pandora's box of his movement with the bullpen. If he's coming in maybe in higher lever situation, maybe becomes an 8th inning guy. But right now it looks like he's kind of settled into like more of a long reliever So we'll see how that plays out. And again, with his injury past, it looks like they're going to take it easy on him because he did pitch Saturday or Friday, 2 games, but that was it for this series. He didn't pitch on Saturday and he didn't pitch Sunday in 2 games that had high leverage situations where you would think if he was in a normal kind of usage rate, he would have saw some kind of time. So maybe he sees time against Houston. We'll see, but the future is really, really bright for this kid. And again, for someone that has interviewed him and talked to him not only on the podcast, but on a personal level, it was really, really great to see him make his debut and do as well as he did. But kind of like I mentioned before, the Angels kind of came back and made it close with 6-7 after 5 innings. And again, Chris kind of helped hold that all the way into the 9th inning. Entering the 9th, it was still 6-7, but then they gave up 5 runs in the 9th. Ohtani does hit his first home run as first home run this season, and it was a little too late, but it was kind of nice to see that pop. And another kind of, I don't want to say side plot, but Liam Hendricks was pitching in this game in the 8th inning when it looked like the game was again a 1-run game. But once he scored all those runs in the top of the 9th, I was kind of surprised to see Hendricks come back out in the bottom of the 9th. He pitched a whole ball in the 9th. They even, when he gave up that home run to Ohtani, he was still in there, and he got his pitch count up quite a bit for a game that was kind of already in the bag. And I think that kind of played into the next game, and we'll get to that. But the Angels lose, obviously, 12-8 on Friday. So now fast forward to the game on Saturday night. New Angel Alex Cobb makes his debut. You've been seeing and hearing a lot of good things about him. Still not quite sure what to think of him. This first outing for him was great. He went 6 innings, 8 hits, 3 runs, 7 strikeouts. That was great against Lance Lynn, a guy the Angels saw quite a bit last year and when he was with Texas. And I think honestly, did pretty well against him last year. And so there was no real concern on my end about being able to get to him earlier and being able to put up numbers. Lance Lynn went 4 2/3, 6 hits, 2 runs, 0 earned runs, but 6 Ks. But they were able to work that pitch count up and were able to get him out fairly quickly. So let me get this straight. So set up early. It's 1-0 after the second, but in the third, Fletcher. Man, I can't remember my writing. That's how bad it is. That's how excited I was when I was watching this last game. This happened.
6 fastballs.
A mile high. And of course, Tim Anderson will catch it. You know what? He'd catch it if it was underneath the halo, but it's called off! He should have caught it! They should have let him catch it! The halo score a run! And it's bouncing around like Little League Baseball. Rendon moves up to second. Oh my!
Yeah, usually steady outfielder Roberts knocks a ball off his head, which was one of the weirdest plays that I saw. But luckily, with Fletcher moving at contact, he was able to get all the way around. They're able to tie it that way, and because of the throw home and it going over the head of the catcher, Rendon was able to get to second. And then because he was able to move to second, this is definitely the product of that.
Bouncing ball, base hit left field. Here comes Rendon. Vaughn is up with it. He'll hit the cutoff man. The Halos take the lead. Walsh with his first base hit and RBI of this season.
Definitely won't be the last time we hear that name on this podcast. Jared Walsh with his first hit, first RBI of the season. So again, he because of Rendon being able to move to second with that overthrow, that base hit gets him home, and the Angels are able to take the lead. The Sox in the fourth would end up taking the lead but the Angels will start coming back. We saw a lot of great comebacks throughout this series, and this is probably one of the first comebacks. And again, this is happening against a really good bullpen in the Chicago White Sox. Here first is the time.
Walsh out front, drives it down the line. Fair ball. Into the corner it goes. Anthony Rendon is being sent on around. The relay. No relay. We're tied. A triple.
What a game for Walsh.
So again, Jared Walsh, I guarantee you, we won't finish hearing that name either. Jared Walsh with a triple that ties the game. So with that coming up, obviously the man behind him, Mr. Mike Trout, comes up with opportunity to take the lead, and this is what
Justin
happens.
Upton. Jay up, high fly ball, left field toward the wall. Gone!
Jay up going uptown, looking for that pitch, inner half, knowing he's going to be pitched inside, and he lifts it out of the ballpark. 2-run home run. Halo's up now, 5-3.
Up, I said Mike Trout. I meant Justin Upton. Upton again with a 2-run jack, and we mentioned in the first game. It's going to be very vital for this guy to be productive, and through this first series, he definitely has. And so the Angels end up winning this matchup. So it was great to see that happen. We end up winning the matchup 5-3. Another great comeback, another great opportunity for the Angels to work their way back, because of some, again, like Chris pitching the night before, and then even Iglesias getting in the night before. Junior Guerra comes in in the 8th inning, but also finishes out in the 9th. So he's the one that gets the save, and another opportunity for another bullpen arm to kind of solidify himself in that in that spot to get in a high leverage situation. So Junior Guerra comes out and shuts the door in the 9th inning and gets that save. So now we move on to Sunday. Obviously, we are recording this Sunday night right after the game. This game was absolutely bonkers. It was tied. Ohtani came out pretty much that next night that Ohtani was going to pitch and hit for the Angels on Sunday, and that's exactly what happened. And his first inning, great. His first inning, he's pumping the ball over 100 miles an hour. I think at one point he reached over 101 miles per hour, but he was getting it done. And when it came to his first at bat and his first pitch that he saw in the batter's box, this is what happened.
First pitch swinging.
Oh, and first pitch crushing! Oh, man! Lean into it!
So, yeah, you heard that, and it just sounded completely different. You hear that, and it's crazy to think that this guy just got done throwing 100 miles an hour, gets in the bullpen or gets back in the dugout, grabs his bat, grabs his helmet, and is able to do that with the first pitch of the game that he saw. So Ohtani, exit velocity on that pitch, again, super loud, 115 miles per hour, the hardest hit ball that has been hit at Angel Stadium since the StatCast era, which I think has been in the last 5 or 7 years. So definitely something that was a no doubter, and definitely something that that was awesome to see. And again, pitching and hitting in the same day hasn't been happened in so many years, since I think before the DH was even implicated. You can follow a lot of guys on Twitter, from Rhett Bollinger to Jeff Fletcher, Fabian Ardaya, and they were retweeting these little nuggets that were popping out throughout the day. Ohtani is the first pitcher / hitter since blah 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 to bat in the second hole, to start the game in the second hole. It was just a bunch of little stuff like that you realize it was a special day for Ohtani. Now, after that, we get a sac fly later in the game, but then here comes Fletcher to do a little more damage.
As an Angels fan, you went to the 2002 World Series parade. Throws a little party favor into right. That is vintage David Fletcher. 3-0 Angels.
And kind of like Matty V said, that is vintage Fletcher, just putting it out there in a spot where no one can get to it, producing a run, and just being able to get on base. So the new man with the new contract really is performing this season. And so that was great to get up 3-0. Ohtani walks the bases loaded. And, that's the one thing about Ohtani in this outing. You can say a lot of things about him pitching, and his stuff was working really, really well, but he was very up and down. He was very inconsistent with his control. He ends up lasting 4 2/3, 2 hits, 3 runs, 1 earned run, but 7 strikeouts. And here's the big kicker, was 5 walks. I think that put him in a situation where he put himself into a lot of he put himself in a lot of situations that didn't need to be, as far as walking guys, putting guys on base, and I think that hurt him in the long run, not only with his pitch count, but just kind of being in these high leverage situations that didn't really need to be. But he ends up loading the bases, a wild pitch, brings a guy in, and then they end up scoring. Uh, then they end up scoring one on that wild pitch. So that's not exactly the way you want this to kind of play out. But it got even more weird later in this game, and it involved Otani, and this is what happened.
The next 3-2. He got him! Stassi's got to finish with the throw to first base, and it's mishandled. Fletcher throws home. That's wide. Otani goes down at the plate.
So obviously a very scary moment right there with Otani. Strike three, drop ball, so the batter gets to advance. Stassi seemed to be rushing the throw a little bit, gets up the line gets away from Walsh. Luckily, Fletcher was there to back it up. So now you assuming there's a play at the plate. The ball comes in, it's high. Otani naturally just goes up and tries to catch it. And, obviously that didn't go well. I believe Abreu slid, kind of took Otani's legs out from underneath him. Wasn't purpose. You could tell that Abreu knew it was going to be a play at the plate, and he had to get down because it was going to be close. Reports have come out that Otani got taken out right after this play, but the reports came out that he got taken out of this game because of his pitch count and kind of his workload, not because of an injury. They said it was sore from the fall, but nothing really, nothing broken, nothing sprained, nothing like that. So we'll kind of monitor it keep an eye on it for the next day or so and see what happens. He probably is going to have a day off tomorrow, I think, regardless, just because he's played every day so far, just got done pitching. There's no reason to put him out there against Houston right now. We'll kind of see how that goes, but something to definitely keep an eye on for. But unfortunately, that tied the game 3-3 for a game that seemed until that point was cruising for the Angels. The White Sox, even to the end, weren't necessarily hitting the ball really hard. A lot of their runs were off of Angels' mistakes, walks, wild pitches, errors, all that stuff. So, it was kind of a frustrating game as an Angel fan because you saw the team should have had a lot bigger lead. It should have been, a 4-1 game, a 3-1 game, something like that. And now it's tied 3-3. And this man again comes up to the bat and is performing, and he might be your long-term first baseman.
Walsh with a swing and a drive and a ball that's going to go!
So obviously that's the go-ahead run. That's the run everyone thought, that's it, we're done. We're going to win this game. We're going to take 3 out of 4 from Chicago, the team that's favored to win the Central. But in reality, it didn't really happen that way. Raisel Iglesias does come in the 8th inning for a 5-out save, which to me, I've never been a huge fan of bringing in your closer for more than a 1-inning save. I don't know. I'm sure there's numbers that say that it's just as effective as a normal 3-out save, and that's fine. But it just feels like every single time I see a reliever come in for a 4 or 5 or 6-out save, it just, something doesn't go right. Either they work a lot harder than they need to, or it just kind of blows up. And in this situation, he gets out of that 8th inning really smoothly. He gets out of it, I think, with like 5 pitches. So in your mind, you're kind of thinking sets up perfectly for the 9th inning. And again, it just seemed like a lot of weird plays, a lot of balls, a lot of walks, and a lot of just weird things happen all series long, not only for the Angels, but kind of like when we said with the Luis Roberts play the day before with the ball on top of the head. There was a lot of defensive, sloppiness between both teams today, or the whole weekend, and it showed its head again with this play.
Back to the mound, and Iglesias airmails Rendon! And the White Sox have tied it in the 9th!
So yeah, you have your closer out there doing great. The one thing I didn't show before this is that there was a play that he made, which should have been a really easy throw to first base. Luckily, Fletcher was covering, and it was a high, but Fletcher was able to get his foot down and get that out. I just always find it weird that pitchers who can dot the corner of a plate cannot throw to first base, or in this case third base. You would think a guy that can throw so hard, so fast and so accurate can, slow it down a little bit and just kind of toss it over to first base and get it out, or in this case is toss it over to third base to get a guy in a pickle, and he's not able to. So um honestly, at this point I was feeling kind of down. I'm sure a lot of people out there were feeling kind of down. um but we're just watching the Jared Walsh show, and
Angel roster this year. Walsh sends it well out to left center field. And it's gone! He went to Jared!
so yeah, Jared Walsh went to Jared. Matt Vasgersian on that call, obviously, and we'll probably hear more of him later in the year. But the Angels win this 4-7 on a walk-off home run by Jared Walsh. 2-home run game. I mean, this guy has absolutely been killing it this series. And they kind of mentioned it a little bit in the broadcast. He had a whole hum, spring training, but for him to show up and do what he did, it's crazy. And obviously, coming onto this afterwards probably wasn't the best idea, just because of the fact I was still kind of super hyped about everything going on, and it's crazy, and I can't get my thoughts straight. But thanks for everyone for watching and listening. But yeah, this game definitely took 20 years off my life too. But what a great series! What a great win for these guys. Again, not the cleanest series by no means for either team. Both teams had their issues. Defensively, especially bullpen, especially starters for the Angels. I mean, Andrew Heaney, we'll see what happens with Shohei, but he needs to kind of tie in some things up, because if he's only going to go into the fourth inning, that might end up being an issue with and you saw him kind of maneuver things with double switches and stuff like that. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do going forward. It was crazy watching that last home run by Jared Walsh. He kind of started walking it off, and I didn't think he hit it that hard. Honestly, there was 2 shots that night, that one by Upton, and I think another one by Walsh too, where it sounded like he got all of it and it just came up short. So for him to feel that confident and start kind of walking it off a little bit before he gets over the top, and it only cleared maybe by like 5 or 6 feet, but when I guess so that was awesome. Awesome to see, awesome also to watch and just be a part of. So someone asked too about no Mike Myers tonight. I think he's pitched last couple days in a row. I know he pitched Friday, and I'm pretty sure he also pitched Saturday. So I'm guessing with the 2 days pitching back to back so early in the season, they probably gave him obviously the time off. So, but I can definitely expect to see him going forward next series against the Houston Astros. So that pretty much sums up this series. Absolutely, crazy series. Absolute fun to watch. They take 3 out of 4 from Chicago, and if the Angels are going to compete at a high level, they need a win series against good teams like Chicago. Chicago is a favorite in the AL Central from a lot of people. So for them to take 3 or 4 in the way they did, producing late and just not giving up and just getting at a really good bullpen. I can't stress this enough. Getting to a really, really good bullpen. Obviously it's the first series of the season, so you can't take too much out of the way, but it's just fun to see that kind of action and just see that kind of performance from these guys, and guys that you were kind of asking questions about. Jared Walsh being one of them, Upton, Stassi, all these guys contributed to this series that weren't Mike Trout, weren't Rendon. Obviously, Ohtani had 2 home runs also, but for the majority of it are these secondary guys that you need them to perform. But Jared Walsh, another past guest of the All Angels podcast, doing big things tonight, and it was just great to see him have a 2 home run game, and that second home run obviously being a walk-off and securing that win for the Angels in a series win against the Chicago White Sox. So we're going to take a quick break, and after that, we're going to talk about some news that came out and look ahead forward to the next series. And we are back. So some other news that happened this weekend that came out, I guess it would be called former Angels now. Former Angels, Ty Butchie put out a statement walking away from the game through his Instagram, kind of stating, I'm sure a lot of people read it, and when it was announced the day before that he did not report to the alternate site, a lot of people were talking, and and obviously I think as people, myself included, I learned a lot from that Simmons situation that happened at the end of 2020 when he walked away from the Angels and opted out the last week of the season. And a lot of people were very critical of Simba back then, and then comes out before the season this year that he was dealing with anxiety and depression and all that kind of stuff that goes unseen to a lot of people. So when this came out with Buttrey, I was one that didn't necessarily jump right away to what are you doing? Why aren't you playing this and that? I kind of wanted to slow play it and see what was going to happen. Let him put a kind of a statement out for himself. And that's exactly what he did on his Instagram. But for the most part, you can go to Ty Buttrey's Instagram and read the whole statement. But for the most part, he kind of lays out that, he lost the passion. It was never really fun for him. He did this baseball thing to prove people wrong, and because he was good at it. And people would always say, you can't make it to the major leagues, and he wanted to prove them wrong. Well, that kind of motivation only lasts so long. Once he made it to the majors, and once he saw that it became more and more of a business, you can understand the fact that you kind of maybe lose what little passion you had for it, or enthusiasm for it. He understands that it's a great job that you can make great money, but at the end of the day, if you're not happy doing it, or you're just kind of like having to pull yourself out of bed to do it, is it the right job for you? And I think it's a lot better for him and the Angels that he does this, because the last thing you want as an Angel fan is a guy that puts on a happy face and looks like he's happy and looks like he loves being there, when in reality he might not, and it can show up in his performance. Now, obviously, he had a great beginning of 2019. I don't know, maybe if the overusage and just dealing with that kind of, body aches and just tearing your body down like that had any effect to it. I don't know. But Ty Buttrey is walking away from baseball, and he seems completely um, content. He seems completely happy with it. And for someone to walk away from an opportunity to make that much money, down the line, I think that shows where his head's at, and I don't fault him. I don't think anyone should fault him at all, because like I said, it's best for him to get out now and not, put the Angels in a situation where he is playing and maybe he's not into it, and now he's costing the Angels games. He knows that his heart's not into it, and it's always best to, get out before you start affecting other people and the fans. So, as a guy that talked to Ty a lot when we had him on the podcast, and met up with him a little bit at spring training a couple of years ago, nothing but the best for him. We've had his wife Sam on the podcast. Nothing best for them. They moved into a home. I believe they're up in Washington, and whatever's next for them, that's great. And on Ty Buttrey's statement, he says he really looks forward to be called Ty, and not Ty the baseball player. And as someone who, if your whole identification is a single game, I can understand how you feel like you can be more than that as a person. And so hopefully he gets that with wherever he's going. But he was a good guy to us. I will have nothing bad to say about him. He was on the Angels podcast. Met him in person, made out time in spring training, even when he was rehabbing, to come and say hi and sign a ball and a picture for us. So I will always appreciate that. So now kind of moving forward a little bit after this crazy 4-game series. Now we got a quick 2-game series with Houston coming into town Monday and Tuesday. Luis Garcia and Jose Quintana are starters for Monday. Both those guys are making their season debut at Angel Stadium again Monday. I believe is a 6:30 start, but we'll see what happens. Jose Quintana, another one of those guys like Alex Cobb, where you're trying to see if this was the right move for the Angels. So we'll see how that goes Monday night, and then you go then to Tuesday afternoon, a 1:00 game. Zach Greinke, Griffin Canning. Zach Greinke pitched already opening day, and again with the Angels 6-man rotation, Griffin Canning will be making his major league debut. So, obviously it's going to be interesting to see how the young Griffin Canning goes against a veteran Zach Greinke. And let's be honest, the Astros have coming into town on a hot streak. They just got done sweeping the Oakland A's. and not only sweeping the Oakland A's, they got done just kind of running through them. I think I saw a stat where they outscored the A's. I think it was something like 31-9 um, over 4 games. So we'll see what happens. But the Astros are on a tear. But because it's early in the season, I'm still not sure if it's because the Astros are doing that good, or are the A's that bad, or is it a combination of both? Was it just a bad series for the A's? I don't know, but they are definitely coming in with a ton of confidence and a ton of hot bats. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Angels lineup and bullpen deal with Houston. We should hear hopefully some news about Otani soon. If he doesn't play Monday, hopefully he plays Tuesday. After Tuesday, there is an off day before they hit the road. I believe they go to Toronto/Florida. Toronto Blue Jays are out in their spring training complex for the first month or so because of the whole COVID situation. They're not able to play up in Canada. So the Angels are going to an East Coast trip after this series. So that's the day off, Wednesday. Um, the next podcast will happen probably Tuesday night. I'm going to shoot for 7 o'clock, and we'll talk about this series, the quick 2-game series against Houston, and also then we'll take questions, emails, questions in the comments. We'll do more of that on Tuesday night. We'll have more time, obviously, with it being a day game. With the night game tonight, kind of get in, give you a recap, and then go forward from that. But again, we'll be back Tuesday night about 7 o'clock on our streaming platforms. That's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Hope that you guys can join us there. We'll take questions there. We'll take questions on our emails at allangelspodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's allangelspodcast@gmail.com. I want to thank again for Rake Baseball Co. The t-shirts are sent out to the trivia winners. We send them out on Friday. Hopefully they'll get them soon. They're going to post it, and then we'll repost it on our social media feed. And we're looking for to do more and more of that kind of stuff as the season plays out. But again, what a great series. Angels take 3 or 4 from Chicago with a walk-off, with an Otani just absolute blast, with great defense from Lagares and Jose Iglesias, and just great plays. Jared Walsh, maybe the end of last year wasn't a fluke after all. We'll see what happens going forward, but really exciting things going forward. And so we'll be back Tuesday night recapping the Houston series and looking ahead a little bit to the Toronto Blue Jays series that's going to happen next weekend. So until next time, I am Dan Garcia, and this has been another edition of the All Angels Podcast.